the reality is that not every moment is as exceptional as the people like me try to make it seem. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the BBO bus. This video, I want to share a little bit more about some of the real life struggles that I have living in the bus. These struggles aren't like, where do I park tonight? How close is the nearest gas station or grocery store? How do I find water for my tanks? Yes, those are all bus life challenges. And those are things that everyone in a bus or a van or a vehicle living situation will deal with. But I want to speak more to some of the more specific things that I deal with as a person living alone in my school bus. So, a word of warning in advance, this may get a little bit more philosophical or life perspective based rather than fun bus life kind of content. But the reality is that not every moment living in this bus and being on the road and exploring the country is as exceptional as the people like me try to make it seem. And I can't lie, I'm at fault just like everybody else that participates in the kind of Instagram worthy side of this lifestyle. Yes, as a photographer, as a creator, as someone who likes to make beautiful work, that is one of my goals. Not to trick people into thinking that this lifestyle is one thing when it's really not, but to make beautiful work. That's what I love to do, and that's what I strive to do on as regular a basis as I can. It's easy for a viewer on the other side of the phone or the computer to kind of misconstrue that and think that that's all that we do. Day after day, sunrise, sunset, beautiful view, exceptional experience, great moment. But the reality is, as high as some of those highs are, we have lows that are as far on the opposite end of the spectrum as those highs. I do believe that without extremely low lows, you can't really recognize and identify and value the extremely high highs in the same way. So we're going to talk about some of the lows and what it does to me and how I get there and what I have to do to get out of that. Let's catch up with some of the activities from yesterday, and we'll continue talking about what it's like to have low moments living alone in a bus. Thanks for watching, guys. I am a productivity-driven person. And what that means for me is that at the end of any day, if I look back at what I've achieved, that is how I gauge my success. That's how I value my time spent throughout that day. I both love and hate that about myself, because the good side of that means that I can say, I need to do this today. And that can be just enough of a catalyst to push me to achieve what I set out to do. But at the same time, it is a two-headed beast, because I can come to the end of a day or even the end of a couple of hours and say, what have I done? What have I achieved? What have I produced? How much value do I give that time that I just spent? And it can be really, really easy for me to completely devalue those hours or that day or that moment and write it off as lost time. When those moments happen, there's something that clicks in my brain, and then I start thinking a little bit bigger picture. And I say, wow, what did I do to get myself towards this other goal? And when I come up with empty answers, I start to spiral in a direction that says, I haven't done anything. I haven't made anything. I'm not working towards success. The things that I've done in the past are now sitting stagnant. I'm not continuing in a positive direction. And when I get into those moments, I get into a really, really challenging spot. And that's what happened to me yesterday. I drove from Sedona, beautiful drive on the 89A, up to Flagstaff. Then I headed west towards Grand Canyon Junction and then north all the way up to the national park on the south rim. I drove into the park. I don't need to go to visitor centers. I don't need to buy souvenirs. I don't need to buy overpriced food at these kind of places because I have my whole home. So I skipped the visitor center and I started driving the road along the rim, and I found a pull off where there was plenty of space for me to pull up and park right at the edge of the Grand Canyon. I had a couple moments where I was sitting there in my house looking out my windows at the Grand Canyon, and I was like, wow, this is cool. And it felt great because there is value to moments like that, and being able to identify that and say, I am adding value to my life even if I'm not adding value to someone else's, is an important thing. But even though I had that little realization yesterday for a quick second, I spent a couple hours there, and that realization faded pretty quickly. I looked back at the last week that I've spent, and I said, man, I haven't uploaded a video in a week and a half. And then I looked back at the content that I've made on other platforms and other channels and the engagement that I've had with people online, and I looked at it and said, I haven't done what I could have or should have. Then I started looking big picture, and I look at what I'm supposed to be doing in the next couple of months, and I say, I am so far from where I need to be in order to be meeting those goals. And then I start looking even bigger picture, and I look at, I really haven't done anything concrete in the last months that gets me any step closer towards the level of success that I've set in my own mind. And once that thought process happened to me yesterday, then I just become overwhelmed with anxiety. And at that point, my mind isn't even in a place where I can fix that with being productive. I've gotten to a place where I am worried about my lack of productivity, and yet I'm so worried about it that I can't fix it by being productive. And that's where I found myself yesterday. I was in one of the most beautiful places I've been in a long time, in the home that I created and built for myself, experiencing a moment that could have and should have been exceptional. And yet in that moment, I struggled to find any level of value or success to where I was. And that was hard. As creators, we are constantly being tasked with the challenge of adding value to our community. What can I share? What can I show? What can I teach that adds value to someone's life? And if we measure ourselves and our own achievement and our own success by how much value we add to others, it gets really easy to forget to find value in our own lives. I know that I'm not the only creator out there that struggles with this. I know that there's probably a vast majority of people out there that will bend their backs to try and add value to someone that they don't even know, that they've never even met, and that they've never even connected with. And yet they'll struggle to find a way to give themselves some form of value on a daily basis. And that's where I find myself sometimes. For me to get out of that place, it takes a mental journey, and it takes a lot of intention and a lot of remembering that there are little things that can make so much difference for someone like myself. The reality is, there's a lot of other things that I put my time and energy into that have so much more value in return on my life every day than making content for you guys. And it's hard as a very productivity-driven person to look at those things and say, oh, this is important, this is special, and this needs to be highlighted. For example, I talk with my girlfriend every day. We spend at least an hour, maybe two, every evening just talking to each other about each other's day, how things are going, how we're doing, what we're looking forward to. At the end of those conversations, it's not like I can go and look at a checklist of productive tasks and check anything off. But the reality is that the value that conversation has is immense. Every one of those conversations builds on each other towards a greater goal that we have as a couple. Likewise, I've had a lot of conversations with fellow creators in the last couple of weeks, both in person and online through social medias. Those conversations don't necessarily amount to anything being done, but learning from other people in my space and learning from other people in my community, I have grown and added more value to me and understanding of what I'm doing in this community. Those conversations are way more valuable than having uploaded a video or made a post. So those connections that I've been building, those are important too. Even things like going on a hike or exercising or reading a book or just watching a sunset and not making content out of it. Those little things, again, are not productive tasks. They don't count towards something that I've achieved at the end of the day. But they all count towards building a better person and a more rounded individual. And there's a lot of value in that too. I've said a lot of key phrases and hot topics and catchwords. I've had conversations about this very topic even this morning, and every time I talk about this with someone, it helps me to better understand myself, and it helps me to better understand what I'm really doing and what I need to do as an individual to be more confident with myself in that I have success and that I've succeeded in areas of my life and that there's value to that as well. I mean, if we look objectively at what I'm doing and where I am and what I've done, the fact that I've almost spent a year living in that home that I built for myself, I can't even believe it. To be able to recognize that achievement and realize that we've done something unique and that we're living a life, and what living a life that is valuable to ourselves can be a really healthy realization. One of the things that I need to work on to be more confident, to be a better creator, to be a better member of this community, to be a better member of my family, and to be a better partner to my girlfriend, is to realize that not every moment of every day needs to be spent towards some productive piece of work. I need to be able to enjoy life too. I need to be able to take a breath, look at the moment that I'm in, and realize that there's moments and there's spaces and there's experiences that all they do is build my experience pool as an individual, which is enough. So, to wrap up this conversation, one of my goals to implement in the next couple of weeks as a creator and a consumer is to be much better at spending me time. So that's what I want to do in the next couple of weeks, is be much more intentional about spending my productivity time dedicated towards producing something that I'm proud of, but then spending my personal time really doing something that enriches myself and reminds me that what I'm doing here is a valuable experience. Anyways, I hope that wasn't too much rambling for you guys. I hope that was a little look into the mental health of someone living by themselves in a bus on the road. I hope that is a little expose into the reality of what it's like to be a content creator living this kind of lifestyle. I know you know that not every day is like we make it seem, but maybe this helps you understand and get a little bit of a better view into what it's really like, because it's not always sunsets, great views, and general positivity. If you're watching this and you're another creator in this space, either on the road or even if you're just on YouTube and you make content for your viewers, I encourage you to find a way to share something about you and your lifestyle that maybe isn't the prettiest, maybe isn't the most ideal or perfect. And maybe together we can kind of start, setting that reality and setting the bar at, the reality of what life is like to be creating consumable content. If you're watching this and you're not someone that's in the creator space, that's okay. Just know that we're just like you. We all have our problems and we all have our challenges and we all have our flaws and our own journeys that we're on that usually aren't talked about. If you've made it this far, I thank you so much for listening and for engaging with me and my struggles. If you see someone close to you that may be having a bad day, just send them a good word, shoot them a message, give them a call, give them a word of encouragement, because we all have those days. If you're one of those people that needs that little word of encouragement, don't hesitate to reach out to someone. Just have a conversation, talk about it, share, just hash it out. That's one of the best things that I can do when I have those kind of moments. Thanks again for watching, guys. Good luck, and we'll see you next time here in the BB Bus. Bye.